Yeah, Jose, because I know when I first met you, you're still in that going out phase, but you're saying that's still a thing.
Oh man, yeah. Look, I have a partner, Angela. We go out together a lot. We still do a lot of fun stuff together when we can. Just the recovery is not the same as it used to be.
Yeah,
I used to be able to go out, come home at 5 a.m. and go to work at 6. Like,
yeah, I feel that. I
Can't do
remember.
that.
Do you remember
Can't
when
do
you
that
were
anymore.
18 and there would be a 30-year-old that'd say, "Oh, you won't be able to do that."
Yeah,
Like, and you're like, "Piss
yeah,
off."
yeah, exactly. Now, if I don't get my like fucking 7 hours sleep, I wake up a mess.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's probably the only change. I still love to have a good time. I still party and ride motorcycles and do stupid shit like that. I think I'll never stop doing that. But just not as much, not as often as I used to.
Yeah. And did you have any crazy stories for us, man, or any good story? It can involve Ollie V that we work
I
with.
mean,
as
look,
well.
I got heaps of stories. Fuck, I can say some crazy ones that probably can't name names.
Yeah, don't name. No, that's okay, bro. If you heard about us, I don't know if you heard about us naming names on a certain podcast. Yeah,
Nah, didn't go well. Didn't go down well.
No, not in a certain part of England.
Okay.
Yeah,
Certain part of England. Okay.
yeah.
All right. I got a good one. So at one of our work parties, it was a house party, full of staff members. Someone that we know really well walked into the bathroom and saw another trainer fucking his missus while somebody was fucking him from behind.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. That's
Pretty deep.
That's probably the best story I've heard on this podcast.
I wasn't there to witness it, but yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. This was a long time ago.
Can I ask one question? Would I know who it is?
You'd know at least
Of them?
You'd know at least 2 of them.
Really?
Yeah, but there was 4 of them, right? So
Oh, wow.
the
Okay.
missus and the other guy at the back, and then
For the first time on this podcast, I'm pretty speechless. I almost want to ask you another one, but that's gonna be hard to top. That's a pretty. You got one
that's
more?
pretty good. It's pretty good. Oh man, I got so many. Oh man, nah, I can't. There's too many, man.
Give us one.
Ah, come on, people are gonna think that the fucking one playground's a fucking bunch of lunatics.
Yeah,
Look,
well.
to be honest, these stories are crazy. But when I was at Fitness First, it was way worse.
Really? Give us a fitness first.
Oh, I got so many.
Yeah, fitness first.
So many. Okay. So we had 2 gay girls that worked with us, 2 lesbian girls, and we had a really big staff room, like huge staff room. Had couches, we had coffee machine, like sinks, like a proper room. People used to go in there and sleep during the day all the time, and there was like a plant room that you could access through there. It had like all the heaters for the water systems and stuff. And we walked in, me and another colleague of mine, we walked in and we heard some kind of noise in the plant room, and we opened the door and they just like finished eating each other out. They were like, one of them was trying to pull her pants up real quick, but we'd seen the whole thing.
Bloody hell. What were the stories about fitness first, like in terms not I guess sexual, but in terms of like the culture there was it?
It was absolutely mental. This is, I feel like, where my life turned around. I don't know for the better or the worse, but coming from a kind of like a conservative construction industry at the time, because it was like a boutique home building, to a gym where the trainers were openly doing coke at work and fucking their clients in the staff rooms and the assessment rooms. It was just fucking mental. And look, at the time, this was 2007, trainers were making, $110 an hour back then, cash. So similar rates to what some trainers are charging now. And it was, almost 18 years ago. All right, so some of these trainers were making $4 or $5 grand a week cash, and then paying $300 a week rent to Fitness First. Walking away with $3.5 grand cash every single week in hand, not paying tax on it, obviously. So like they were like fucking rock stars. And that's the gym I walked into, and that's the culture I was working with, and it was just such a fucking culture shock to me. I was really young compared to some of the other trainers. Some trainers had already been there 10 years when I started. So these were my fucking fitness mentors, right? That's what I started with. And back then it was like everyone was just hustling to make money. It was, dog eat dog. Everyone's a competitor. People stealing clients off each other, fighting with each other. There was a few fights in the gym between the staff.
Really? Like punch-ups?
Yeah, we had one guy throw a coffee table in the staff room at another trainer, like completely split his head open. Police came, ambulance. It was fucking mental.
Was that over just taking?
No, that was just over just like bullying and stuff. It just got to a point, he just had enough, stood up for himself, and the guy picked up the table and threw it at his head. So it was just a strange culture, and I think I was already looking for a way out before One Playground opened. So then when I got a call from Frankie, Justin's friend at the time, about them opening a new gym, and they wanted me to come on board, I just fucking went for it. Just the opportunity to get out. Otherwise, I was ready to leave the industry because I was just, I don't know, I just felt so, like I didn't see a future there. I just thought it's either I'm going to end up being like that, fucking cokehead, or leave the industry. But for me, there was no other option.
I actually want to talk about, because I don't think Darius listens to the weekly offload.
Oh, sorry?
Darius?
Oh, doesn't he?
No, I don't think so.
What if he does?
So I wanted just to chat about, because he was the head coach at One Playground, or Fitness Playground. It was when we started. Was he the closest thing to, I guess, what you're talking about, the fitness first days? Would you say?
Man, like Darius, for whatever problems he had or issues he had, nothing compared to what these other guys were like. Yeah, like especially at the gym I was at Bond Street, which at the time was the busiest gym in the country. I think we used to get, during its peak, before the financial crisis, we used to get like 2,500 swipes a day. So 2,500 people would come through those doors every single day. And I think at one point we had like 50 PTs in that one gym. So it was literally just a fucking circus, so it was, hustling, aggression, doing drugs, just fucking people at work. It was mental. So One Playground's never been like that from the day we've been open to now. So I don't think it's comparable. I think the culture and the system, the way they run, the way Fitness First runs with the rent system, it creates competitive environment. So everyone's trying to, undercut each other with pricing, trying to steal people's clients, and it just creates a shit culture.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because I'm transferring to Maryland, and I met a couple coaches that were from Clubline in I can't remember what area they're in, but they worked for Clubline, and they were sort of saying like that a lot of the trainers don't get along, and I was saying that's so foreign to me, because obviously at One Playground you never had the situation of like what you just said, like
never
stealing a client or like someone. They said that they would actually have a client that they've done an assessment with, like a first session, and then they'll like another trainer will take them, because they'll be like, oh well, you hadn't signed them up, like it's not so, and then that would cause like a lot of problems, I guess, there. So we are lucky in that sense that like the culture's always been like support each other. I think I remember even when I first started, Luke Wood was going away, and he goes, oh, can you train some of my clients? And I was like, what the hell?
Weird, right?
That was weird. I was like, what? Not that I was going to take his clients at the time, but it was like, I was like, you sure you want me to train your clients like when you're away? And he goes, yeah, it's fine, man.
That would never happen at Fitness First. I mean, it would occasionally, very rare, because people always had that in the back of their mind, like, oh fuck, I'm going to go away, he's going to steal my clients while I'm away. Whereas that would never happen here. As soon as you come back, it's look, the system that we work with at One Playground, it creates an environment where people generally want, especially management, they want us to succeed, because obviously the more sessions we have, the more success the club has. So whereas in Fitness First, when you're on a rent system, it doesn't matter if you're doing 5 sessions a week or 50. The club still makes $300 a week or $400, whatever it is. So there's no incentive for the trainer to be busy and to be happy, right? If they leave, somebody else will just come in, take over. It doesn't mean anything for them. We're just like a expendable commodity, so that's how you get treated. That's how you feel. That's the culture it creates. That's why people, fight amongst themselves and fucking doing lines in the staff room. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. Well, if we do, I'll cut the fourth wall. So obviously we recorded a little bit before, but I had to plug in my laptop. So I was saying if we go with this version, I was saying when I first started, Jose said to me about what's on your elbow, and then sort of put his hand towards his penis. So that was my first induction of at one playground. But it's like, all jokes aside, it is true what you said in terms of the environment. I was even telling like the new guys, because I'm the oldest at Maryland, which is crazy. Like I'm only 36, but I was saying to them like, you'll find like everyone you meet here is just such a good person. Like, and they were like, it's just so weird. Like they can't believe it. They're like, really. And as you said, the management of wanting them to do well, they're like, I just can't. Like,
I think, look, when it comes to like what we do for a living, especially with this, the model and the system that we have with one playground, at the end of the day, all they want to really see is that you are generally have an interest in helping people. Like if you have that care and you have that interest, the rest they can teach you. They can teach you how to be a good trainer. Whereas if you come in and you know how to be a trainer, but you don't give a fuck about helping people, you're always going to be a piece of shit. You're never going to be a good trainer because you generally don't give a fuck about someone. So I feel like the interview process for them is probably pretty easy. Like they just make sure that you're just generally a good person. If you have that quality, the rest, they can coach you into it. Whereas you can't coach someone to be a good person.
Yeah.
They either are or they're not.
Well, I remember when I first started, obviously, because I came from Anytime and being a bit nervous, like of knowledge or whatever else. And then I think I gave it to him earlier, Darius, but he did say we just hire good people. Yeah. And it's almost sometimes, they said, easier to mold a trainer from fresh, I guess, because you don't have any bad habits from like other clubs and things like that. So I think that's what I was trying to do with the Maryland sort of crew, was just sort of say to a couple of them, like, don't worry what you know, you're going to learn a lot, like regardless. So if you're open to learning, sorry about my voice, guys, but if you're open to learning.
It's kind of erotic, to be honest.
You like that?
Yeah, you could do one of those erotic audiobooks.
Well, before I started the podcast, absolutely no one ever said you have a nice voice. And then after this, I think Blanche, I've mentioned it once before, but Blanche's mum listened to an episode and she's like, wow, Manny's got quite a nice voice. Not in a sexual way.
Oh, really?
Obviously.
Well, that's what it sounds like. It sounds like you could do that new fantasy erotic. You know what that is? How fucking weird is that?
Nah, which one?
Grown-ass women reading books about like fucking like elves and shit, fucking them and stuff.
Oh, really?
So weird.
Nah, I haven't heard about that, man.
What's wrong with just porn?
Yeah.
Like, what is a erotic, fantasy erotic? What is that?
But you know what? I'm going to say, and I'm not saying this because Polly listens, but I actually don't watch porn.
Me either. I'm serious. I don't. I fucking hate it. I used to when I was a teenager.
That was a joke.
I'm serious. I don't watch porn.
Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah, me
I feel like when I was a teenager, I used to, obviously.
Yeah.
I'm just like, why? I got to save this, man.
But do you remember Andrew Maneshian?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, so he like said to us once, seeing as you're pretty open with the story, I'm gonna tell a story.
Go for it.
So he said a story to us once about he said porn in particular, like, it rots your brain.
Yeah,
and I think we're seeing the effect of like that with like shows like Adolescence and things like that, of like what I guess men think of women or what they expect from women. I mean, that's a little bit more deep, but I think just in general, watching it gives you like a weird sense of reality as well.
Of course.
But anyway, so he was in the office and he was saying to us, like, one, he doesn't watch porn, and two, he doesn't masturbate. right? So I was like, okay, I sort of took his advice. I thought, well, like he was an experienced trainer at the time, so I was like, I'll try both. The porn I stuck to.
You
so,
never got jacked like him from not wanking? That was the secret, man.
No, we didn't. And the only thing, it wasn't big on him with his carbs, I think, but he used to train him a lot. But so the porn thing I've kept since that day. I haven't very rarely when I watch it. But the wanking one, I did try, and sorry if Polly does hear this, but I tried to do the no wanky, and I went over to a young lady's house, and pretty much I would say it was over before I took my pants off.
Holy shit.
So that was so that was the end of that. I decided this was obviously I was probably because you were saying before the pod, like I was quite young when I met you, so I was probably 25 or something like that. But then I decided I'll go with the option
a couple
one.
times a week, man.
Yeah,
Better.
I agree with
You
that.
don't want to be that guy.
No, the second one I was just like, no, I can't do. But he had some pretty out there ideas. I remember that.
Yeah.
What about characters in terms of like people that have worked at like what fitness playground or what? Man, we've had a few.
Yeah, we've had some serious fucking lunatics. But I mean, I think because I think the fitness industry has a pretty high turnover of staff compared to other industries. So I feel like every industry is going to attract, your strange characters. But because we have generally a higher turnover, I think we just see more of them because they just come and go. But yeah, we've had some fucking crazy ones.
Well, we were talking about today about Frank Pop.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah.
He wouldn't listen to this.
Nah, I doubt it. I highly doubt it. But I know.
Any conspiracy theory you can think of, he has followed that trend. Flat earther, fucking carnivore diet, anything you can think of that's ever come up, he's onto it.
I know.
5G started COVID. The 5G towers, that's what caused COVID. Flat Earth was my favorite because one day he was telling me about it. He used to smoke a lot of weed. I don't know if that's
Correlation
or causation doesn't always equal causation, but whatever. But yeah, he was a fucking proper pothead. And we're sitting on, during COVID, sitting on this rooftop just up near the Surrey Hills gym. And it was like, he was telling me about the earth being flat. And I was just like, fucking believable. 2020 it was, and this guy, access to the internet, is literally telling me that the earth is flat. I was like, Frank, like, how can you actually believe that? And he goes, it's not as easily as explained as you think it. I'm like, it's pretty easy, man. Like, people fly, east and then keep going east, and eventually they end up in the same spot. Like, how do you explain that? He goes, it's just complicated. I'm like, all right. And then I think it was like a half moon. I was like, you see the moon? He's like, yeah. I was like, why is it shaped like like that? And he's like, I don't know. I'm like, well, I think it's like the reflection of the earth hitting the moon, and then you can see the shape. And he's like, oh. I was like, yeah, man. It's like, no one believes the earth is flat, Frank. Come on.
But why do you think, I mean, this is another topic, but why do you think people are like that?
I don't know, man. First of all, I don't think they're very intelligent. So they don't have a lot to offer in terms of conversation or insight. So they have to go the opposite extreme. So everyone believes this. I'm going to go and say, no, this is true. And then their answer is always like, trust me, you just haven't done your research.
Yeah, I guess you're sort of saying because they don't have anything, I guess, interesting or new to offer, they're going against the grain, and then they're trying to not shock you, but I guess surprise
and then also
you.
putting you down like, oh yeah, you're just a sheep, you just follow this, follow that.
Mm-hmm.
I understand it's important to kind of make up your own mind with things, but sometimes I always just think to myself like during the whole COVID thing and the vaccines and stuff, everything was going on about that. I am not an expert, man. Like, I fucking know nothing. I teach people how to fucking squat. What the fuck do I know about immunology and all of that shit? I know nothing. So I trusted the the scientists and the doctors. That's why I trust it, not some fucking guy from First who runs a podcast and was so anti-vax. Like I don't believe him. So yeah, that's the way I try to live my life. I'm also not at the point where I just feel like I don't know enough about a certain topic to have a super strong opinion like that. So that's why I'm just like, whenever I see a new conspiracy, I'm always like, oh fuck, here we go again.
Yeah, I do. I know what you're saying. I do 100% agree with like the topics. If you meet someone, I always think like if you meet someone who's an expert on every topic, I'm just thinking something's got to give. Like it's just not. It's like if we were to discuss or I was to discuss rugby league, I would have an input. But like for politics, for example, I don't really know much about it, and I'd just rather admit that than sort of. But I think, do you think it's like an insecurity in the conversation?
Yeah, absolutely. That's what I was saying before. I just they don't have enough intelligence to generally offer something valuable to a conversation or to a relationship or to a fucking online post. So they have to find something controversial to, create, I don't know, rage or discussion or, I don't know, something like that. I used to like get really fucking into it, like arguing back with people online. It used to drive me fucking nuts to the point where I was like so angry all the time. And then I just stopped with all that. I used to have religious debates online and get death threats and...
Really? Death threats?
Yeah, because I grew up as a Catholic and, well, non-practicing Catholic with my parents, but I just kind of really lost my religion a long time when I was a young teenager. And then I just used to start enjoy arguing with religious people, all sorts, and like, not in a derogatory way. I never I used to just try to challenge their belief system. And obviously no one likes their belief system challenged. When I was young, I didn't think that. I just thought, like, why don't you think this? Like I think. So I used to have online arguments all the time. And it used to just ruin my life. It was ruining my life.
Really? That far?
Stuff, yeah.
Yeah, I think like I've been in, I think probably everyone like, has been in an argument, and you just find like, even if you win, quote unquote, it's just like, I don't know, say you're with your partner, and you're texting, like I've done it, Polly's done it, probably you guys have done it as well. You're kind of like, oh, don't worry about them, but you're still like, I'm going to get them back. And then what do you really, like you said, you don't really win. Like, I don't know, but in the same time, I'm finding it hard at the moment, but I'm not commenting just about the welcome to country sort of stuff that's going on at the moment. So the Aussies who are like saying it's bullshit or like it's woke or this and that. So I find it hard not to comment, but I'm thinking the same as you. I'm like, these people, the way they think, what would me saying anything really do to change their opinion?
Almost nothing. There's nothing you can... Whatever you think you're going to say, someone's already said it to them and they've still got the same opinion. So, like, the best thing I did was, as soon as I stopped getting into those discussions and arguments, my algorithm changed on my social media. So I don't get those rage bait fucking things come through like they used to. Algorithms are insane. Like, right now, Angela and I are just, like, looking at doing some stuff online with, like, some cat furniture and stuff that we've been doing, and that's all my algorithm is at the moment. I feel so good. I open my Instagram and I'm seeing like cat videos, and like it's just nice, instead of seeing some fuckwit like complaining about, I don't know, welcome to country because his kid had to say it at school or something.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't get any of that anymore, which is great. But it's been the best thing, like stopping all that rage bait and stuff.
So what you're saying is I should get a cat.
Yeah.
I should get a cat, look at cat
furniture.
furniture.
Spend a few days looking at cat stuff online and your algorithm will change.
It was actually funny before the podcast. So Jose's, you have 2 cats, you said?
Yeah.
So Jose's got 2 cats, and what was the cat's name that was coming towards me? Sophie was coming towards me, and he was like, I was trying to act like
it was so awkward. It was like, fucking hell. Never seen someone pat a cat like this.
I was trying to, act like, but he goes, "You're not a cat person, are you?" And I was like, "Not really. I'm more dogs." But I know Polly always says if you did have a cat, you grow accustomed to it because they're more like it's more maintenance, but it's like
they're an independent. They're part of the family, like an independent. Like they're like a teenager, a teenage son or daughter. They're just like, leave me alone. I'll do my own thing, and if I want some affection, I'll come over. But yeah, it's good. I don't take them. I don't have to take them for walks. They shit in the litter. Just scoop it into the toilet. It's good.
yeah.
Nice change.
I don't know if
I've
you've
always been a dog person.
Yeah, I'm not. I think
I'm both. I just love all animals, man. I like animals better than people.
Well, you said you take them in as well.
They're both rescue cats, yeah.
Yeah, so that's good as well. I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, like I said, I've never had a cat
Yeah.
in particular, but I know, I know what people say that you grow to love them.
Yeah. Look, I just love all animals. Yeah. Oh, I've always had pets my whole life. It's been good. It's a good little lesson for a kid to have something that they love to look after. So, like, my parents used to really make us, like, if we wanted a pet, it was our responsibility since we were kids. So, like, feed them, walk them, clean their shit. And it's nice to have that little routine, something to look after.
And I know
Quality.
we were sort of saying before, as I said, this is like a part B, but you were saying about your dad. He was always like a great role model because obviously coming to Australia. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, look, my dad is, when I was young, you take your parents for granted when you're a teenager. But now as I grew up to be the kind of a man, I really respect what my dad did for us as a family. He's a hard worker. He was never one of those guys to come home from work and oh, I love you, son, and how was your day at school? But I can't judge someone that grew up in the 1950s in Portugal to have that kind of relationship with his son that he definitely wouldn't have had with his dad. So I always look at life, the way humans progress. The only way society and humans progress is that we always try to be better than our parents were, slightly, even if it's a little bit. Every generation improves, whether it's emotionally, physically, work, career, everything improves, society progresses, right? So I know that my dad did way better than his dad did in terms of emotional intelligence and that kind of stuff. So I just, now with my son, I just make sure that I give my son what my dad didn't give me, which is tell him that I'm proud of him and tell him that I love him and have that, and also have all the work ethic and providing security and safety, all that stuff that my dad did. My dad always was really always the kind of man, he was amazing, everything. He taught me everything, how to lick a pussy. From that to, how to look after your woman, pay the bill. All right, for the first timers listening, my dad, he showed me the pressure that you need to put on a clitoris is the pressure that you put on your eyelid. All right, anything that's uncomfortable here is going to be uncomfortable on the clit.
So how old? Can I ask how old were you?
I don't know, 3? No, I'm kidding. It was probably just before I started, eating pussy.
Fair enough.
I don't know, 15, 16, that kind of age, yeah. So he helped me with, obviously, things make sure you pay for when you're on a date, open the door, chivalry, that kind of stuff, which I've always seen as important, which, kind of feel like it's maybe kind of dying as, we're in that generation where everyone wants to, everything's 50-50, which I find weird. I don't know because I'm old or because I'm Portuguese, but, so if sometimes I'm with my friends and they're out with their girlfriends and they're calculating on their phones, you had the pasta and the rice and I had this, and they're you got to pay $35.75, I got to pay. I just find that really weird because my dad was really always against that. And even now, sometimes when my dad invites us out, he always pays. And I'm like, come on, Dad, you're fucking retired. Let me do it. He's like, nope. I'm the man of the house still. I'm paying. And I respect that. It's different. I know for different cultures and stuff, but Yeah, my dad, like, yeah. And when I left the construction industry, he was fucking devastated because he always
I was gonna
he had in
ask
his
that.
head that we're gonna be this father-son team, building houses and selling them. Like that was his dream. He was devastated, but I told him that I was just like I don't have the passion and the love that he had.
Yeah, I guess because like you're saying about the generational
Yeah.
gap for them, I guess it's like sometimes I think it would be better to be like this, but it's like just go to work and get the money and then
Yeah.
like you come home. But then
Nah, man. Like you think about how much time you spend at work, man. You spend more time at work than you do with your family. Like if you're working 10 hours a day, you come home, at home for 3 hours before it's bedtime, and then you wake up and off you go again, right? Like that's so much time to be in a position where you don't have any passion or you're unhappy. At the end of the day, like if you can do both, amazing. Not everyone is privileged enough to have the ability to be able to do something they love. I know people always says, find your passion and make money from it. Yeah, go and tell that to the fucking guy in sub-Saharan Africa digging holes, looking for water in a well. Like, not everyone has that opportunity. We do, to a degree, depending on our fucking upbringing. And so, I don't know, man. I guess we're pretty blessed.
True.
Even to have that option. So.
Well, it's funny you said that because the owner of one playground, Justin, was actually saying that at the Marrickville launch, Maryland's launch,
Yep.
like saying, yeah, you're gonna spend more time here than with your family, so you want to sort of you want to enjoy it, but work hard, enjoy it, and sort of saying about like building the new culture. Like there as well, but I did want to actually ask you how your dad. I'm glad you spoke about how he reacted to you changing, but now what does he think about it now?
Actually, my dad didn't actually think I had a real job for the first couple of years. He was just like thinking that I was just going to hang out with my mates at the gym and training, and they would pay me, and I had enough money to pay my bills. He didn't look at it as a career. He didn't really understand it because my dad's old school construction guy. He'd want to see at the end of his day that he's built something, and that's what I've done today. That's what I've built. And he didn't see that with what I was doing. He didn't really understand it. I think it all changed. It changed. I had a client who was from Zimbabwe, a white Zimbabwean. Is that what you call him? Zimbabwean?
I'm not sure.
Zimbabweanese.
I'm not the one we're talking about before. I'm not an expert.
He's from Zimbabwe, a white guy. Very privileged upbringing. Like gaming ranch type guy with the help. Well, I used to call them slaves. That's what they fucking were.
Pretty much.
But that's his upbringing, and he moved to Australia for a high paying job, and he was here alone, and it was going to be his first Christmas ever alone, and he was older than me. I would have been like 26, 27. He would have been like 38 or something. And I said, hey, do you want to spend Christmas with my family? And he's like, oh, like really? I was like, yeah, man, like just come. And he came, and my dad met for the first time someone that I trained, right? And he had lost a whole heap of weight. He changed his life, and he sat my dad down and was just like, your son did this. He changed my life. He's like amazing. My dad was just like, and I think that was the moment where he realized, like, oh fuck, he actually has an impact. And he's doing something. He's not just sitting around lifting weights and getting paid. So I think that was the moment. That would have been about 3 years after I started at Fitness First, where he finally was like, oh fuck, okay, this is his job.
Because I was gonna ask you, mate, was that person gay?
No.
Oh, that's so you obviously because you have
straight people, mate.
Because you have a lot of gay clients, so I was wondering.
No. But yeah, another time, I had a boxing event that my dad came to, and I brought some of my gay clients, and that was the first time that he ever met kind of like a high functioning gay person.
Oh, really?
So growing up out west and kind of in that whole construction industry, and coming from a country like Portugal in the 80s, like my dad, I would consider him back then like a full-on homophobe. You'd see a gay guy and you'd be like, fucking yuck. And that's all he knew. So I can't judge him back then, but he's not like that now at all. But that's what he was like. And I was becoming like that too, because that's the environment I grew up in. So I didn't know any gay people. I'd never met a gay person. All my interaction with gay people back then was when I was a kid and would drive past Oxford Street, and they'll be like, I don't know, like a tranny on the street, and that in my head that's what gay people were, right? So I'd never met, especially a high functioning one, like someone who, you know, a corporate guy, you know, highly educated, wealthy, successful, fit. Never met one of those. When I started working at Bond Street, they were fucking everywhere. That was the community, and it blew me away. And then it literally changed my life. And I went from that guy that just was like fucking yuck, you know, to most of my friends now being gay.
Yeah.
And so I don't judge people. The only people I judge that are homophobic are the ones that have lived in this community, have free access to the internet, free information, and they're still homophobic and, like, you know, despise someone and still have their mentality that they choose to be gay. Like, who the fuck would want to grow up, be ostracized by your family, by your friends, by society, choose that lifestyle? No one chooses that. They are that because that's what they are. And I only learned that from talking to them. And yeah.
Well, it's kind of like,
I've had now since then.
well, it's like us as well. When you think about it, you didn't choose to be straight.
No.
You were just like, oh, I like titties.
I do.
Kind of. So I get what you're saying. Also, that's actually a fair point to say. Like some of my best clients are gay as well. Yeah. So it's just to see they're just normal people. But I suppose if you're not, it's kind of the same thing with the religion. Like people that are against, say, Muslims, for example, they might not know any. And I've said that to relatives in the past. I'm like, but like they might make a comment and I'm like, you don't even know a Muslim person, like, or you don't even know what they're about or like whatever. And like a story, Polly took our daughter to the Marylands. I'm speaking about Marylands a lot, but it took our daughter to the Maryland shopping center, and she goes, that was the nicest experience I've had in Australia. Like so far, like of the people, oh, sorry if they hit your pram or looking at our daughter and like waving to her and this and that. So yeah, it's funny, but if she had spoken to, I guess, my older relatives, they'd probably be like, oh, don't go to Marylands. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, but it's like you said, I guess you got to give leeway. We had a guest on, Jeffrey Morgan. Do you know? Jeff, he said. I hung
out with him a lot.
Oh, did you actually?
Many times. Yeah.
Oh, okay. He said.
Justin's friend.
Yeah. He said on the podcast, he said, I'm trying not to fuck up his quote, but it was about, you can only give as much leeway in terms of the person's education. Yeah. So you actually can't persecute them if they haven't had an education, because obviously his upbringing was completely different to what it is now that he's had an education. Yeah. You know what I mean? So
yeah, that's the point I meant about my dad, right? Like if I would judge him now if he had that mentality, because he's lived in Australia since 1987. Like, why do you still have that mentality? Yeah. And you've worked in an environment and been around a community, so why do you still have that mentality? But coming from where he came from, having no exposure to that, I understand why he'd feel like that. I understand. Like, there's like you can't judge someone. I got friends that are Eastern European, Russian, Hungarian, proper homophobes and racist. But why? Because they come from an environment where they don't have any connection with anyone from those cultures, like from another religion or from another sexual orientation. They don't have it, right? So all they see, all they feel is what they hear from their parents or from their friends. And man, like that's what we're gonna be. Our environment shapes us, like, you know. Yeah, why do wogs from out west speak differently to everyone else? Because their environment. It's not nothing to do with like their background, because it's the environment they grow up in, the people they hang around with, they all speak the same, so they speak like that. It's just the same with mindset. that's your mindset, that's your environment, you're gonna have the same. And it's hard to say that you can't judge them, but at the end of the day, they also have access to, you know, if you live here, you have access to
The internet.
the internet, yeah, and other communities for you to kind of broaden your opinions. But I don't know, man. I used to go fucking crazy online arguing with people about this sort of shit. But there was I used to train a guy who is now engaged to the first out A-League player. Do you know the story?
No.
So there's a Adelaide United player.
I know the story of him
guy.
coming out. Yeah.
He's engaged now to a guy that I used to train at one playground, and I used to know him. And when he posted something online, like on his Instagram, I could not believe the fucking hate this guy gets from people from all over the world, man. Like, and most of it comes from, you know, the Middle East, Africa, Eastern Europe, and I'm just like, it's so obvious that, and I used to get so angry, but I'm like, fuck, I can't blame them, because what environment are they coming from where they have exposure to a gay athlete? You know what I mean? For them, they just see it as like whatever it is, whatever they see.
Yeah, I found like I agree with what you're saying, but I guess I found like when that happened, for example, I read the comments as well. I don't think I commented back, but it was like some people saying like, oh, why do they have to do this? And I'm kind of, my mind's like, because of people like you.
Exactly.
You're the people that they have to come out, because look at rugby league, like Ian Roberts came out in I'm going to say 1994, let's say, for example, and he's the only player, and Polly always, not always, but like a lot of times we're watching the game, she's like, one of these players is gay.
Yeah, of course.
Statistically. Like they have to be. Statistically, like 17 players, she's like, one of them must be. She's got a bit of...
or at least dabble in dick sometimes.
Well, I've heard a lot. I can't tell any stories on their podcast, but I've heard stories about that too, about footy players like in the 90s. But... she has her suspicions of which ones are as well. But she's like, there must be, but they still don't feel comfortable to come out. Like,
it's fucked. I mean, it would be a horrible way to live your life, you know, but it's just unfortunate reality we live in. We're also lucky to live in a country like this where it's a lot easier than living somewhere where they're going to toss you off the top of a building, you know?
Yeah, that's true as well, man. We've spoken about a lot, man, but... like, what about changes to yourself? Like, how have you changed? And even as a father, because I know you were saying to me about your son with the medical history and things like that. How did that change your perspective on things?
Look, he was born with it, so it was, you know, I'd been going to cardiologists once every 6 months for 8 years. So, you know, so I was always waiting for the moment when it was going to come. So I was prepared. It wasn't like it just came out of nowhere. So I was prepared and excited about having the surgery. I just, like, now that he's better, it's changed me so much, because I'm like, fuck, man, like, life can be taken away at any moment. And now, I honestly, like, maybe I'm spoiling him too much, but I'm just so happy he's healthy. Like, I just want him to have everything. So he wants to play AFL, he's playing AFL. He wants to play soccer, he's playing soccer. He wants a PS5, he's got a PS5. I just don't have the...
It's hard to say no now.
To say no when I see his little face and saw him on the hospital bed, like fucking tubes sticking out of his neck and his chest, and now like he's all better. So I'm just like, whatever you want, boy.
Yeah, it'd be hard, because obviously, like we said, it's the parents that go through that. It's tough, like being there day in, day out at a hospital. Like, I couldn't think of anything worse, to be honest.
Fucked. It was all right. Look, it was, man, just so lucky to live in this country. I'm just like, there was not $1 out of our pocket for the whole procedure. It was all covered by Medicare. From the moment they decided to do the surgery, it was 1 week. He did all his testing. Everything was free, covered. The Starlight Foundation have got this massive, like, little centre inside Westmead Hospital where they've got, like, PS5s and giant screens and Nintendo Switches and entertainment. It's just insane that we live in a country like this. So when you see that Medicare levy come out of your tax, like fucking worth it.
Yeah. Don't say, what is this?
No, you're fucking, it's worth it, because that imagine living in a country where you have to pay that out of your pocket. Like, how many people are going to afford like a surgery like that and a week of intensive care? He was in intensive care for 4 days and then another week in hospital. So it would have been like 200-300 grand.
Yeah.
Like, who can afford that cash just like that? If you're in the US and you have insurance, you know, sell your house.
Yeah, that's insane. I wanted to end off, Jose. It's been quite an interesting chat. We've spoken about a lot.
Fucking journey.
Yeah, we've started on a high note and spoken about a lot. But would you give any advice to the Jose that put my hand on his penis, or would you just let it ride?
Nah, let it ride, man. Honestly, like, the only thing, if I could go back in time, obviously invest in crypto.
So you tell yourself, yeah.
I'm like, this fucking shit. Put some money
It'd
in
be
it.
like Back to the Future, you
Pretty
reckon?
much. Other than that, I wouldn't change anything. Man, like, life's about fucking the journey.
I'm glad you said that about fucking the journey. Yeah.
The journey, yeah. So yeah, man, like, I got regrets, but I'm like in the point in my life right now. I'm very happy. I got an amazing partner. Kids are great, so I'm happy. So I don't want to change anything.
I want to say, because a few people have said I should have shouted. Do you want to shout out your partner on here?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, Angela, I hope you're listening.
Because I know we've had a few guests on the podcast, and then they're like, "Oh shit, I didn't mention my partner."
No.
But I think you've mentioned a couple times.
Yeah, she's good. She's a good girl.
Yeah.
It's not easy being with someone like me, and she does a good job.
So what's on the horizon, mate, for the future? Obviously, he's still with one playground. Is there anything coming up, man?
Yeah, look, career-wise, I'm still loving what I do. I teach a lot of classes at the moment, which I still love doing. PT, I've not so much as I used to, so I've definitely cut back on that. Building new relationships, like I said earlier, it's exhausting. In the future, I'm just going to ride with it, man. I love One Playground, love Justin. So I've got no issues with where I am in my career. Any extra income, I don't know. Angela and I are doing some stuff online in the next year or so. So hopefully that takes off. But that's it, man. Just look after the kids and I just want to fucking stay fit. Just be a fucking hot silver daddy,
Well, I gotta say, man, when I said to a few people I was gonna have you on, they said that will be an interesting chat. So you haven't disappointed. So I hope you guys have loved our chat with Jose, and we've taken a load off for this week.